Hi, this is the Songbird Cooking, homemade cooking. This right here is really not a recipe. This is about if you're a college student, you don't have a lot of money, you just got your first place, and whatever money you have is just enough to pay the rent and the bills and have a little fun, right? Whatever. And so sometimes you might go shopping, you might fall short. Not just college students, mothers who are 17 with their first apartment and they have two kids and, they are independent. They don't depend on people. So sometimes you run short on things. You could be a rich person whose parents are rich and maybe they disowned you and you had to start from scratch, whatever. So this is what this video is for, people like that. So sometimes when you fall short, see I have all this meat, all these chicken thighs, which have been cleaned thoroughly, deboned, deveined, as you can see, butterflied, such, whatever. And I like to take a little more fat off of that, just a little bit. Okay, but either way, so that's a lot of meat. And this is less than a half a cup of flour here. So basically, you always shake up your chicken after you season it, the meat first, and then season the flour, or sometimes not. Either way, this is for if you don't have enough flour. Preferably, I love my chicken with flour crust because, like Kentucky Fried Chicken, finger licking good, everybody loves the crust. So you can only make crust if you have flour. And you can make crust with smashed up cereal also. But that's a whole different kind of thing. Right now we're talking about flour crust, like Jim Dandy and Kentucky Fried Chicken style, Popeyes, whatever. So this is what happens. For this amount of chicken, I would like to use like 2 cups of flour because that way it can be thoroughly, really properly floured on each section. Like nothing will miss, no spots missing. And I'm just a crust girl. I like thick crust when I do go out, which I don't really do that much anymore. But as far as eating out, I would say eating out. I always order the thick crust, and that takes more flour than just a little dusting. Okay, but this here is like a half a cup of flour. So what I did was I took this bag, because of course you want to use a bag, you can use a paper bag. I prefer a paper bag, but usually I can't find any paper bags and I just have plastic bags now. You could do it on a bowl and shake it up with the top, whatever, that works too. I've done that too, whatever. But basically we're talking about people who are, whether you came from a rich family and you have to start over because they like make it on your own with your own money, whatever. And you fall short, college students, you get your own apartment, you want to have fun, you got to pay the bills, and you just didn't remember to get the flour. I mean, mothers who are 17, 18, 16 with kids, young people with children who don't have, don't get married just because they had a baby, so therefore they prefer to make it on their own and not beg their family every day for everything, or go to your family's house and eat at auntie's house today and cousin's house tomorrow. And that's beautiful, that's a wonderful thing. But some people don't do that. Some people, you know they prefer to just be 100% independent because they like doing it that way. So sometimes you fall short when you're so independent that you don't have a lot of money. So this is what you do. If you only have a half a cup of flour, I learned this from my own experience. Don't just put the meat, all that much meat, no, in a little, in a container with the flour just in there. So what I did was I took this flour and I spreaded it all around. I flattened it. As you can see, I rolled the bag down. Okay. I rolled it down. If it was paper bag, I'd do the same. So I rolled it down this way. And I opened it up. See? And I spread the flour out like this. You see? You can see the bottom of the plastic. That's how thin it is. It's not thick in here. See that? Just barely any flour. Now, if I was to just throw this chick all this meat, even if it was just 2 pieces, and this little bit of flour without opening up this bag and spreading that out flat as I can, then I'm going to season this and lay it on top of it and flip it over like this. See, now I can do this. So I was going to do it on the plate. I have done this on a plate. But today, I decided to do it this way inside the bag. It just came to me to do it this way because when I was young and I had two babies, and my rent took all my money, and that was fine. I'm not crying about it. I was independent, and I'm proud of it. But sometimes when you do that and you don't have enough of what you need, so you have to make do. So I used to do this on a plate. But today was the first day I said, you know what? Put it on the bag, because when I did it in the bag when I was young, I just threw it in there all the way up to like maybe when I was 30. I've done it a couple of times with just this little bit of flour. And I just didn't want to do it on the plate, take the time for this. So I just like threw it in the bag, and it just made like a clump, and there was a lot of missing spots. You know what I mean? Like, it just clumps up, and then all of that meat, by the time, if I did like with this little bit of flour, if I would have just threw it in the bag and shook it up, only maybe 3 pieces would be covered. And right here I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 pieces. So I mean, like, if you have a couple of kids, like I had 3 children at home waiting at the table, to eat. And I didn't want to, so I just did the best I could. You know what I mean? I didn't complain. I'm not crying about it. That's how it is sometimes. You chose your own road, really, basically. I mean, according to circumstances, whatever their circumstances are, it's not what's going on. It doesn't need to define you. Although it will mold you to a certain extent. But all the real choices are up to you. So, since I've already been there and done that, in the independent way, which makes it hard, especially when you're not little babies and you don't depend on your family because you chose not to. And you don't force child support because you're not a hungry, whatever. I won't say things like that. Because basically everybody makes their own choices. But if you're the type that just likes to be independent and feel like, if you're not getting child support, that's because you prefer for that person to give it on their own, not because you told them to do it or because the bank, or the court forced them to do it, So if you were like me, or if you're some rich person, I've met some in school, and their parents had got rid of them for whatever their reasons were, and they didn't give them any. It didn't matter how rich they were, they had to make it on their own. So this is what you do. So you have a little bit. I'm not saying any of that to cry about it. I'm saying it's good to be proud that if you can be independent. And that's a good thing. But when you're independent, you fall short. So if you're not the type of girl that just uses a guy just to get what you want and all that you need, then of course you're going to always have shortness. So you need to know what to do when you have a short amount of things. You see, this is coming out real good just with that little half a cup. But if I would have just threw it in the bag and shook it up, basically I would have just had a big old clump of clay in my bag and little bubbles, like little, they're like balls of flour that just globbed up on it, it's just disgusting, and it just becomes a mess, and it's not nice, it doesn't cook good, and it doesn't taste good. So I'm going to do that just a little bit, like that, and it doesn't taste good. See, and this is coming out much better. I'm glad I did it like this in the bag. It's better because when I do it on a plate, it falls off the plate sometimes, the flour on the sides, and who needs extra cleanup, And that's perfect. Yeah, it's perfect. looks good. So if you're independent and you have short on money, so this is what you want to learn how to do these kind of things, because it saves money. See, that saves money. So when you have a little money, you want to save money. You know, you're not the type of person, you know what I mean? I'm not judging anybody. I'm just saying, if you're just a person that loves to just do everything on your own, but you're young and you're poor, or you're older and you're poor now, whatever your circumstances change, or you know, whatever the reasons, and you just got less money than you used to have, or whatever, and you fall short because you got to pay the bills. So sometimes you might fall short on some things. You might get meat and fruit and greens, and forget to get the flour. You may say, oh, next time I'll get the flour. Right now I'm just going to get the milk and my, you know, the important things, and, you know, pay my rent and my bills. And, you know, but I'm going to just get my meat, a couple of meats, and some, you know, some milk and some juice and a couple of fruits. And some people skip the fruit because they just don't have enough money. Sometimes the fruits are ridiculously high. And mostly, like tonight is the first night it is snowing outside. It's beautiful. And we live up north, so basically we're here in Massachusetts. And in Massachusetts, you know, we need the snow. We need the snow, and we need the rain. People complain about the rain and the snow, but we actually need it. You know, they say it on the news all the time. People watch news, and I guess, I don't know, whatever, we can't judge them. But we need that snow, and it makes, as you can see, the flowers running out very quickly. Almost done. And it's great. So we can have some fruit in the summertime. At least the prices won't be too high, because now it's snowing. My turtle found a place. I guess she's in here, and she's hibernating. I made sure I watched videos on her, saw that about her. She came up. She was eating the little fish that was eating the worm on the hook when I went fishing. When we went fishing. And so for a couple of weeks now, she's been doing the behavior of hibernation. And so now she did it a couple of times for a couple of days, and she came back. Got warm again, and it kept getting warm. Then she came back out from where she was hiding in here. And because she's not in a cage, because I feel like, you know, she came up on the hook. You know, she was in the wild. She didn't come from a pet store. So I can't confine her like that and imprison her that way. You know what I'm saying? So anyway. Yeah, so she's in hibernation. I guess really in hibernation now. It's snowing outside. I should have known. It's snowing. It's a beautiful thing. I love that snow. I let it fall on my face today. I went to the store just now, and I made sure I let that, when I got out of the car and I sat there, and stood there in the open parking lot and let the snow fall on my face. And have some leftovers. You see how it flows? You see how it flows. See it all together. Look at that. There ain't nothing. Now this like left is like less than a quarter of a cup right there. About 3 tablespoons of flour. 2 tablespoons. But if I had, and there's no clumps. But if I had just threw it in there like I used to when I was younger, not knowing any better, it wouldn't look like this. It wouldn't look this way. Smooth and dusted. It wouldn't look that way. It would just be globs of chunks like what's on my fingers. So that's a lesson for those who are independent, young or old, whatever your situation, and lacking something in the kitchen for what you need to do. Okay, there's all kinds of ways how to stretching. Gotta know how to stretch it, you know. You know, you could be a rich person that loves to save money. And I bet you they know that trick too. The real rich ones that really know, that love to save money, not spend money, save money. Oh, you bet they know this trick. Trust and believe they know this trick. This is a good one. Peace, love, and light.